We still got margaritas to.
Those old country club boomers are gonna tip me so hard, man, they won't know it.
A wedding in Paris, a love story finally sealed, and a finale that no one saw coming. Episode 10 of The Summer I Turned Pretty takes us on a journey that fans have been dreaming of, but it doesn't just end with happiness. It carries twists that will leave you questioning everything. What really happened when Belly and Conrad stood face to face in Paris? And is this truly the end of their story, or the beginning of something even bigger? Let's dive in. The moment fans have been waiting for finally arrived. Belly and Conrad's story reached its most emotional and breathtaking chapter in episode 10. The finale wasn't just about romance. It was about closure, growth, and the long journey these characters took from summer innocence to adulthood responsibilities. And Paris, with its dreamy streets and endless romance, was the perfect setting for this chapter. From the start of the episode, the tone felt different. There was a heaviness, as if every choice mattered, and yet at the same time, there was a strange sense of calm, like the storm had finally passed. Belly, who spent 3 seasons torn between 2 brothers, stood stronger than ever. This wasn't the confused girl we first met on the beaches of Cousins. This was a young woman who knew what she wanted, and she wasn't afraid to fight for it. And what she wanted was Conrad. The wedding scene in Paris was the heart of the finale, but it wasn't rushed. Before we even reached that moment, episode 10 gave us glimpses into Belly's emotional journey. We saw how deeply she struggled with the weight of her choices and how much Jeremiah's pain haunted her. Jeremiah's absence at the wedding said everything without words. His silence echoed louder than any speech could. And yet, the story didn't frame him as a villain. Instead, it reminded us that love is messy, painful, and sometimes unfair. Belly choosing Conrad didn't erase Jeremiah's love for her. It only made the triangle more bittersweet. As the vows unfolded, Conrad's voice shook with raw emotion. For seasons, he carried the burden of hiding his feelings, often burying them beneath walls of silence and distance. But in Paris, there was no holding back. He declared his love in front of everyone, and for the first time, Belly answered without hesitation. It was a moment of triumph, not only for the characters but also for fans who had waited years to see this love fully realized. But the finale didn't let us walk away with just happiness. There were shadows hidden beneath the light. When Belly looked out across the crowd after saying, "I do," her eyes briefly lingered on a seat that should have been filled. Jeremiah's empty chair became the silent reminder of the price of her decision. And in that single moment, the finale reminded us that endings are never simple. They carry joy, but they also carry loss. Paris wasn't chosen by accident. The city of love symbolized new beginnings, but it also carried weight. Distance from Cousins Beach, distance from the memories of the past. By placing the finale in a different place, the writers made a statement. This isn't just an ending, it's a transformation. Belly and Conrad's story no longer belongs to summer romances by the sea. It has stepped into adulthood, with new challenges and deeper bonds. Still, fans are asking the same question. Is this truly the end? On the surface, episode 10 wrapped things beautifully. The love triangle reached its conclusion, the characters found their answers, and the chapter closed. But subtle clues throughout the finale suggested that not everything is as final as it seems. For example, Belly's narration hinted at more summers to come, leaving viewers to wonder if the story could continue in a new form. One of the most powerful parts of the finale was the way it reflected back on Belly's growth. Flashbacks reminded us of the innocent girl who first stepped into Cousins Beach, unsure of herself, caught between 2 brothers, and overwhelmed by emotions. Now, she stood in Paris as a bride, fully embracing love and commitment. It was a full-circle moment, one that gave fans closure while also teasing the possibility of new stories, and yet, the ending carried an air of suspense. In the final moments, after the celebration, there was a brief scene that left fans whispering theories. Conrad looked away from the crowd, his eyes dark with thought, as if something weighed on him even during the happiest moment of his life. What was on his mind? Was it Jeremiah? Was it the fear that happiness might not last? Or was it something else entirely, a secret the finale didn't reveal. This is why episode 10 stands out as one of the most impactful finales we've seen. It didn't just give fans what they wanted. The marriage of Belly and Conrad. It layered it with complexity, sadness, and suspense. It was a happy ending, but not without questions. And that's exactly why fans can't stop talking about it. As much as this feels like the end, the finale left the door cracked open for possibilities. A spin-off, a continuation, or even an unexpected new chapter could rise from the shadows of episode 10. After all, if we've learned anything from The Summer I Turned Pretty, it's that love stories are never as simple as they appear. The Paris wedding may have felt like the grand finale, but episode 10 gave us so much more than just vows and rings. Underneath the romantic glow, the episode carried hidden layers that deserve to be unpacked. Let's take a closer look at how the writers ended this chapter and why it feels like the beginning of something even bigger. First, let's talk about Jeremiah. Throughout the season, Jeremiah's presence was undeniable. He was always the one who wore his heart on his sleeve, who never hesitated to show Belly how much he cared. And yet, by the finale, he was the one standing on the outside, left with nothing but silence. For many fans, this was the hardest part to watch. Episode 10 made sure we felt Jeremiah's absence deeply. His choice not to attend the wedding spoke volumes, and it painted a picture of a young man who needed to heal far away from the love triangle that had defined so much of his life. But here's where the suspense comes in. Did Jeremiah really walk away for good? Or is his story still unfinished? The writers left subtle clues: Belly's occasional glances at the empty seat, Conrad's unshaken guilt, and even the closing voiceover that suggested not every bond was broken forever. These weren't accidents. They were deliberate choices to keep us wondering whether Jeremiah's path might one day cross Belly's again. Another powerful detail from episode 10 was the way Paris was portrayed. It wasn't just the backdrop of a wedding. It was symbolic of escape, a chance to leave behind the painful summers of the past. But as beautiful as Paris is, it also created a sense of distance. Cousins Beach, the place where everything began, was absent. That silence felt strange, almost like a missing character in the finale. And that absence leads us to an important question. Can Belly and Conrad's love truly survive without the beach, the summers, and the memories that built their story? The finale didn't give us an answer, and that's exactly why it lingers in our minds. The vows themselves were breathtaking, but even within those words, there were shadows. Conrad spoke about promising to never let go again, a phrase that sounded both romantic and haunting. It was a confession of love, yes, but also an acknowledgement of the times he had failed before. That raw honesty made the moment powerful, but it also reminded us that love isn't perfect, it's fragile, and it can be lost again. And what about Belly? Her character arc reached its peak in episode 10. Gone was the indecisive girl who couldn't choose between two brothers. Instead, we saw a young woman who embraced her heart's truth, even knowing it would hurt someone she cared about deeply. But Belly's narration during the closing moments hinted at uncertainty. She said, "Every ending is just the start of something new," a line that felt less like closure and more like a warning. Was this foreshadowing? Was it the writer's way of telling us that the story isn't as over as it seems? Fans can't stop speculating. The finale also touched on family ties in a subtle but meaningful way. Susanna's memory hovered over the wedding, unspoken but deeply felt. Her absence was a shadow at the celebration, reminding us that love and loss are always connected in this story. It was almost as if the writers wanted us to feel her blessing, but also her warning that love, no matter how beautiful, comes with consequences. Then came the ending sequence, and this is where the suspense truly exploded. After the vows, after the laughter, after the first dance, there was a quiet scene between Belly and Conrad. They stepped outside into the Paris night, away from the crowd. Belly whispered that she finally felt at peace, and Conrad smiled, but then his expression changed. For a brief second, he looked distant, almost worried, as if something weighed heavily on him. The camera lingered on his face, just long enough to plant a seed of doubt in the minds of viewers. Was he thinking about Jeremiah? Was he afraid of losing Belly again? Or was there another secret waiting to be revealed? That moment is what made episode 10 unforgettable. It gave us the joy we wanted, but it refused to let us relax completely. It was a happy ending, but not a simple one. And that complexity is why fans are already demanding more answers, more stories, and maybe even more books from Jenny H.A. and S.O. Where does this leave us? Officially, the series has reached its conclusion. 3 books, 3 seasons, 1 finale. But episode 10's layered storytelling suggests that the door isn't locked forever. Spin-offs, new stories, or even flash-forward chapters could easily emerge from this ending. Fans are already imagining what a continuation could look like. Maybe following Jeremiah's healing journey, maybe exploring Belly and Conrad's married life, or even shifting to a new generation at Cousins Beach. The possibilities are endless, and the finale's subtle hints only fuel that imagination. At the end of the day, episode 10 was more than just a finale. It was a gift to the fans, a celebration of love, and a farewell that still left us craving more. Belly and Conrad's Paris wedding gave us closure, but the unspoken moments, the lingering shadows, and the empty seat left behind reminded us that no love story ever truly ends. There are always more chapters to be written, whether on the screen or in our hearts, and that is why The Summer I Turned Pretty will never truly be over. Because as long as fans keep asking questions, keep dreaming of what comes next, and keep sharing their love for these characters, the story will live on, far beyond episode 10.